Alright YouTube, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips to become a better shooter without spending a penny. So I'm recording this video just before the new year. Just had some fresh snow here in Colorado and it's cold outside. The range I usually shoot at has got a bunch of snow covering the range. I was up there about a week ago to adjust the zero on my modern precision rifle after installing a new brake, and it was hard to get video while I was shooting, and it's not a great time to get out and do a ton of shooting outside and get a lot of video of it. So I was thinking about what I could do to give you guys some more videos, and I got to thinking, okay, what can you do to continue to improve your shooting when you can't get outside or when you don't have a long range to practice at. So I'm going to give you 5 tips that are all free just to make you a better shooter. Alright, so the first 2 tips are going to start with your brain. So number 1, learn more about long range shooting. Now, depending on whether you're a new shooter or you've been around shooting long range for a long time, there's probably more information that you can learn. If you're stuck in the house when it's cold and snowing outside, start reading about long-range shooting. And I don't just mean go to the forums and start getting wrapped up in the drama or the drama on Facebook surrounding long-range shooting. Actually go into some of the, somewhere like Sniper's Hide, the advanced marksmanship page, or look at YouTube videos from some of the top shooters or the top channels, and start getting a better idea of what you need to know to be a good shooter. Now, a lot of that you're going to need to practice, and we'll get out and practice once we have warmer weather and we have the opportunity to do so. But at least start educating yourself. Understand the ballistics of the round that you're shooting. Understand how to most effectively use your round. And one of the big parts of knowing your ammunition and your ballistics goes into my next point, which is start studying wind. Wind is a big thing that makes or breaks a long-range competitor. I truly believe that a lot of the top shooters are not the top shooters just because they have the highest end gear. Now, they may choose to buy the highest end equipment because it helps guarantee that equipment's not going to be the weak point for them. But if you watch some of these top shooters at a given match, I know I've seen guys with similar equipment do horribly compared to some of these top shooters. And why is that? Because the top shooters consistently understand and guess their wind calls correctly. So the best way to get out and practice your wind is obviously to go out on the range at long range and where there's a lot of wind and just start practicing. Practice 90-degree angle, straight into the wind with the wind at your back in every combination. But we're doing this for free and you're stuck inside, so how can you still improve your wind calls when you're inside? Again, study it. There's a lot of tips, there's a lot of YouTube videos to help you get benchmarks, to help you understand if grass is swaying, it means this. If bushes are starting to move, it means this. If branches are starting to move on a tree, it means this kind of wind. And then if the whole tree is swaying, it means this. There's guides on mirage and how to read mirage. Now, again, you're going to need to get out and practice it ultimately, but start using these free resources and read up on wind. Read up on different ways to estimate wind, to account for wind. Look at the ballistics for your cartridge and start getting an idea of what a wind call is for a certain distance at a certain speed wind. I should probably do another video about this sometime, but I know a lot of the Colorado shooters I've shot with will use what they call a full value wind, which is a 10-mile-an-hour wind at 90 degrees to their position. And it doesn't really matter when you go to communicate the wind to another shooter, whether it's at a 70-degree angle or a 90 or a 30, or if it's 8 miles an hour or 7 or 15, you just communicate what you observed relevant to a full value wind. So you can tell them it was a half value, it was a quarter value. And it doesn't matter if I'm shooting a completely different caliber than you or a completely different muzzle velocity. If it's a full value hold for wind for me, That means it's the equivalent of a 10 mile an hour, 90-degree wind. And that's how you can adjust yours to be able to compensate for your round. So for the next tip, I'm going to presume that you're trying to get better at long range shooting and that you already have at least the basic equipment to get started. So this next tip is be familiar with your equipment. Play with it. It's going to go into dry fire, which I'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, but be familiar with your equipment. Understand how to adjust the knobs for elevation, for windage. Are you going to use windage? So if you're going to dial for elevation and then hold for windage, practice dialing your elevation. If you're using quality equipment, you shouldn't damage it by adjusting the elevation up and down in a practice setting, but actually practice going through the motions, dialing different distances, and we'll get that into dry fire here in just a second. Another thing is your magnification. I know a lot of guys in matches will want to use that maximum magnification, and then they run into a problem because they have too much magnification and they can't find the next target. So start getting used to using a lower magnification to find targets. Start practicing moving your rifle and then looking over the scope to get it lined up on the next target, and then move down to the scope to have the target in line. Get used to that movement. Understand which direction the magnification ring goes on your scope. Do you turn clockwise to magnify or clockwise to widen the view? Also understand the direction that your turrets need to go. Get used to adjusting your parallax so that as you adjust your dope for the next target in a match or while hunting, that you make it kind of an automatic movement to adjust your parallax to match. So get used to your equipment, how to deploy your bipod legs, how to flip up the scope caps as you get into position. Be familiar with your equipment and know exactly how your equipment works. Going into tip number 4, before we get to dry fire, that's going to be number 5. Tip number 4 is learn how to build positions. So I think this is a good tip to go between understanding your equipment and getting to that dry fire. So if you're going to mess around with your equipment, obviously you need to make sure it's safe environment, safe position to manipulate your gun, to dry fire, to do all of those things. Once you have that safe area, that safe space to do so, start not just manipulating your gun, but actually using it to get into positions. Now, when you're starting out or you're just getting comfortable with it, that could just be the prone position. So a lot of matches may let you start with the magazine in, a bolt back, empty chamber, and you're standing just above the position you're about to go prone in to engage targets. So one of the things you can do is leave the magazine out and stand up, pull the bolt back, get ready to get into a shooting position. Maybe use a timer or a stopwatch or a shot timer if you have one, and go off of some kind of a buzzer. When the buzzer goes off, you deploy your bipod legs, you set your rifle down, you get into a position with natural point of aim, and you get set up behind the rifle, pick out a spot that you're aiming for, and you want to get lined up with your scope so that when you go to look through your scope, you're lined up with that target, your crosshairs are on target. Practice cycling that bolt forward, nice steady, smooth press of the trigger, get that break right where you want it, and rack the bolt, do it again. You can definitely practice speeding up the way you do this and getting the perfect natural point of aim and the perfect fundamentals of position and trigger finger and breathing, follow through. Get all of those perfect with that dry fire session. So let's go ahead and bring in tip number 5 with it, which is dry fire. A lot of the top shooters, they may get to shoot thousands of rounds a year through their match rifles between matches and practices, but a lot of the top shooters are probably shooting anywhere from 2 to 5 times as many trigger pulls dry fire as they do live fire. And as I mentioned, with building that position and getting to know your equipment, what that can do is that just builds up that muscle memory and builds up that talent, that skill to put yourself behind your rifle the same way every time, with all your fundamentals in place, or as many fundamentals as you can get for a specific position, and pull that trigger. Nice, smooth, steady press to the rear with a follow through where you hold that trigger back for just, even if it's just a second in a match where you're trying to move quick, following through on that shot. You're manipulating the bolt smooth and racking another round in quickly but smoothly. You're not short stroking it. You're not, yank it back on that bolt so hard that the entire rifle jerks off of course. And by combining those different skills, you're preparing yourself to get out to those matches. So what happens is you build those neural pathways and that muscle memory that teaches your body, this is exactly how I want to get behind the rifle. This is exactly where my finger wants to go on the trigger. This is exactly how I'm going to hold my hand, and this is the part of my breath that I'm going to press that trigger. All of those things, once they become that muscle memory and you build them into a point where you don't have to think about them anymore, well, that just frees up more bandwidth in your brain to think about wind calls, to think about dialing for distances, to think about adapting to positions if it's a match where you have to move to different positions, or to evaluate positions. If you got into a position and realized that's not where you want to be, you can realize that and realize that there's a better position available. So those are 5 things that you can do: studying ballistics and studying long-range shooting, studying and learning more about wind, getting to know your equipment, learning to build and practice building positions, and dry fire. Those are 5 things that you can do at home or at a range, even if you want to practice it before you start live fire. But those 5 things will help build a better foundation to make you a better long-range shooter. Alright guys, I hope you liked that video. This was kind of a different format, more discussion versus actually showing me out there shooting. Let me know if you like this kind of video, if you want more tips like this, or if not, if all you want to see is shooting, just let me know. If you would, like this video, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications, and please, please comment what you would like to see with these videos on how to be a better long-range shooter. Thanks for watching.